How many of y'all have a grandmother named Willie Mae, Annie Mae, Lula Mae, Edna Mae, Ida Mae? How many of y'all have a grandmother named that? Or a great grandmother named that? Where do y'all think those names come from? Do anybody ever thought about that? Those were indigenous names that had to be changed over into American society. Like, for instance, May meant maiden, which was woman, queen, goddess, matriarch. That's what that meant in indigenous tribes, right? So Annie meant favor, a woman of favor. So favorite maiden would be an indigenous name to somebody. So when you change that name over to fit into American society, you say Annie Mae. Eula, which is Eula, that was like a good speaking maiden. Eula Mae was like a good speaking. I don't know how to put it, but like Eula comes like from the word eulogy. So eulogy is like a presentation, a spoken word, or a blessing of some sorts like that, right? So Eula Mae was like good speaking maiden. That's what a name would be. So if you wasn't a part of the hierarchy, because if you had May on the end of your name, you was called a maiden, you was part of the hierarchy in indigenous tribes. So if you didn't have that.
All right, all praises to the Most High. And so we know just by Hollywood that the indigenous people they named their people after the character, after their characteristics of their personality, right? And so we know that. So he's absolutely right. And what happened is when the people named their children, when these people begin to give their own people American names, because he's going to tell you, and we saw it in Kuta Kinte, you couldn't keep your native language. And so when they learned English, they just like they named their children, their offspring in Hebrew. It was Hebrew language they were speaking. And when they gave them named them after characteristics or their behavior or their likeness to something. Running bear, the fox, great eagle. That's how they named their people. So he's absolutely right. So when they went to name their offspring, they still named them the same way. Like he said, Ida Mae, Annie Mae. May means maiden. Female name, she's a maiden. Ain't that what we called in Hebrew? Ain't that what the Israelites called their children, maidens, their female children, the women, the girls, they named them maiden. Annie Mae means whatever he said it meant, some kind of personality, something about her personality. Lula Mae is something about her personality. Eula, he said eulogy, but we got to go back and get those syllables right. But I'm pretty sure he's pretty close to it. So we can see now how we got those Lula Mae, our middle names, because you find out what your first name, what do your name mean we can't go back and find out what our names meant in Hebrew, because that's what they were speaking. These were the northern kingdom of Israel that came over here those thousands of years. You're going to see testimony. But let's get back to this. He's got some other things that's very important to hear.
Distinction, you would get named after something of nature, like myrtle, or pearl, or lily, or daisy. You see what I'm saying? You see, my mother's mother was an Annie. My father's mother was a ruby. It's indigenous all through my damn family, both sides. So in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, or whatever, black people or indigenous people of this land could not claim it. They would kill you if you claimed your native tribe or said it out loud. My grandma was almost 90 years old when she died, and she was.
Wait and see. Go back. That's how they've always done. All the nations have cut us off from that's a way to cut us off from our inheritance. and from being a nation on the earth. They cut us off from our nation. And you notice they won't talk to you individually. The only way these nations will recognize you and respect you, all of them, you have to go by your ancestry blood, your nation. And we don't know who they cut us off from uh, any knowledge of our ancestry by giving us other names and forbidding us to teach our culture to our kids. Can't even say the word out loud who you are, you know. And you didn't teach your kids, you were silent. He's going to talk about that too, how the people went silent about their, all of a sudden they didn't teach their children. That was something they didn't teach their children who their ancestors was, because that was illegal. And in the story of Daniel and the Babylonian captivity, ancient Babylonians, you notice they searched out when they took the Israelites in captivity. They searched out. They took the Israelites or the Jews. They're all Israelites, but I was wondering they went. I'm pretty sure that came over to America. The 10 tribes, the people that God picked out of those 10 tribes after King Cyrus released us to go back to Jerusalem. It's a Syrian captivity, and King Cyrus came and took over. He released us to go back to Jerusalem to build the temple. And then what happened then, certain ones that God put on their heart, picked out to send them to North America. And the 10 people from the 10 tribes, select people, ventured to North America, right? But Daniel picked, when he took over and took the Jews in captivity, not Daniel, but King Nebuchadnezzar, I think it was. When he took the three Hebrew boys, Daniel, and certain prominent ones from the tribe, people that was well respected in the community, people that already had some hierarchy in the Israelite community, they were known, had a good reputation. He went and got those people, changed their diet, changed their names, forbidded them to pray to their God, forbidded them to think and teach their culture. That was like the first or second captivity outside of Egypt. And after that, all the captivities, even to the day, the people use that same pattern. That's the behavior of Satan, right? He don't have any new tricks. But after that, all the nations that took us in captivity, they did something, especially after Psalms 83, when they finally joined together in confederacy to cut us off from being a people on the earth. Now, they couldn't destroy us, but what they could do is what they did. They made us fear teaching our children our heritage. They made us forget about it. He's going to tell you some other things I agree with. And I'm going to go through and some more videos where people understand and they know. I didn't think they had this much knowledge about who we are. But now push come to shove, and these people keep trying to say that this is their land and everything, and they brought us over here, that 14th Amendment. I always said Donald Trump was going to he's going to reveal everything they done. You know, he can't hold water. He hold grudges. And so he hates America, and that's why God is using him to do the evil, so our people will wake up and come back to their nationality, to their God, to their king, to their laws. We have a whole kingship sitting right here, and it's always been here. Our whole kingship has always been here. Our God, our king, and our laws. We don't need nothing from them. We don't need them to be, we don't need to be a part of their citizenship, right? Because we can't be a part of their citizenship, and they know that, because they know we are sovereign. But they were waiting until all of the Israelites went to sleep and went into haphazardness. They don't care. They didn't care before now. Before Donald Trump, we didn't care. If about our sovereignty. We didn't care. They already had it set up for the generations that's on the earth today, jobs, everything. They had everything set up. So we didn't care to try to establish. Why would we try to establish a country, our country, our nation, in the midst of their nation when they have power over us? We couldn't do it in slavery because the Most High had us in slavery and had us defeated, broke the bows. We couldn't fight. We was fearful. And now he's waking us up, and that fear is taking that fear off of us. And by us standing up, is putting the fear on them that God is fighting for us again to wake us up after everything they've done, created. The whole system of racism was to keep us from even investigating that we might come from another people. We just believed the lie that they brought us over here. All the books and all the memoirs that the explorers, the map makers, Columbus, they all said that that there were copper tone. They called Indians. They knew who we were because Columbus proved it in his memoir from the book of Second Ezra, 13th chapter. He knows the account and what happened and how we got here. He called this place a place for the gods. When he set foot on Santo Domingo, he said that was a place for gods with all the fruit trees, all the flowers, the sweet smell I don't know how you can smell it with all that dog funk and hair they had on them when they got here after a year and a half, sailing on the ocean. But he said this was the most beautiful place, and he knew we were gods when he came over here and saw the condition of this side of the world. So let's go ahead. We got a bunch of more videos. We've been in here 12 minutes. Let's see how far we can go before everybody get bored. Okay? It's a lot of good information in these videos. I didn't know our people was this knowledgeable. And to the fact now we have to come together in order to take our land back and get out from under these people's jurisdiction before they decide to just claim everything, even our lives. They're trying to claim that even we belong to them. Okay, let's keep listening.
Part of the silent generation. Our grandmothers, great grandmothers, they refused to talk. They were very stoic. They didn't tell us about slavery. Have y'all noticed that? They didn't tell us stories about Harriet Tubman. All of these things we learned in school because our grandparents and our great grandparents were silent. They didn't tell us nothing. They didn't teach us nothing because some of them came from indigenous tribes, some of them did come from slaves. But they had so much fear in them. They could not speak about their ethnicity, their true ethnicity, their indigenous.
Now, where he got that wrong is, I want to make this point. He said some of them did come from indigenous tribes, some of them came from slavery. So what he's saying is some of our people, until we broke away, until the 1800s, we considered those people they brought from Africa not our people. I don't know if they knew it or not, but it's not really been talked about. He don't know. He don't know we were the same people. That information and that history comes from reading the Bible, which is our history book. And like I said, going into the early explorers that came over here with Columbus or before Columbus, Amerigo Vespucci, he really discovered America. So until we read those accounts, we won't know that we won't know how that we were one people. Israelites, we were Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom was supposed to meet over here and become one nation. Instead of being two nations, God was blending us to be one nation. Okay, so and again too, some of the indigenous people they took as slaves. They took the women and children, and they had them on plantations. But the people, it was too many of us for all of them to put us where they lived. They had to store us on reservations too, you know? So they had indigenous people as slaves. They called them, uh, uh, well, the people, let me see if I can get it. The people that they couldn't bring into the forts and the cities that they stole from the early indigenous people that they took down south in the Caribbeans and made their empires down there because they were fighting over this land over here. They said, well, there's too much land over here for us to be fighting. So the British, the French, the English, the Portuguese, and all those people said, well, help you clear this land out up here, and we'll move, take slaves and go down there and build our empire on the sugar, tobacco, tea, whatever the commodity was down there, and we'll go down there and build our. And so the French and the English, they stayed here. France, the East Coast, especially the East Coast, and I think France went on down. They went down under Louisiana, Florida, Mississippi. They went down under around that like that. They stayed on the coast though. They didn't even the map. They have maps that prove. You see my other videos. They have maps that prove that they couldn't take the inland of America until after the 1800s. They got over here 1492. George Washington was president. Is what's that? 1778 or something? 76, 78, 78. That's when they came in. That's when they became government over here. So it was about 300 years. They had to. They were suffering, pretending to be our friends for 300 years until they got that Gatling gun, till they got fortified enough to start moving inward and start having wars with us. And that's how they took the land. And not only that, when we went on our hunting parties or we went out to battle, our children, they found out where our children and our wives was, and they captured them, killed some of them. We have the Thanksgiving. That's the first year, right? The Thanksgiving feast that they have now is giving thanks, is celebrating how they massacred the Indians that first winter. After that, they had those raiding parties, or they would go into the Indian camps who were supposed to be their friends and delete the whole camp and take what they did on the Thanksgiving feast. You can look that up yourself. Other Israelites, they talk about that all the time. But anyway, let's see, where we at? We at 18 minutes. Okay. Well, yeah, anyway, he's right. There were free Indians and there were enslaved Indians, right? And why would they bring Africans over here, right? Why would they bring them over here when they were trying to clear this land of black people? One reason is because the Indians, when they enslaved them, they could take off and run and join the other tribes. When they got away and ran away, they knew how to get to the other tribes. It was over, like, I would say 500 million people here. At 2 million people every 20 years, and we was here 2,000 years, you do the math. It was, yeah. So that's what happened. That's why they had to go get slaves from Africans, and they didn't need many. They didn't need the 100 millions that they say they brought over here. What in the heck were they going to do with them? They couldn't control 100 million black people from Africa, But the Africans, when they brought the Jews over here, which were the Africans, what they did is they could hold them there because they didn't know where to run. And this wasn't a clear land like you see today. It was briar bushes and thickets and mountain lions and bears and even going down in the Caribbeans. Now that's why they took the Indians from here down to the Caribbeans, because they didn't know that land down there, so they didn't run either. But once they learned their way around, I think it was a lot of rebellion going on down in the Caribbeans and stuff. You know, we know Haiti's rebelled. A lot of the Brazilians, they call them today, they rebelled too. So yeah, let's keep watching.
Nature, their indigenous health heritage. You know what I mean? When the $5 Indians came in and started claiming these names, claiming themselves as Indians and Native Americans or whatever, that forced our people to be silent, to not tell them their truth. That's why our grandmothers was in that silent generation. How many of y'all have a grandmother name?
Not brought from Africa. American schools taught that black people were the original indigenous population of this land, not brought from Africa. This single change would shatter everything we know about American history. The Columbus narrative would crumble instantly. You can't discover a land already full of people. Suddenly, millions of Black Americans would qualify for tribal recognition and indigenous rights. Land ownership across the entire continent would be questioned.
And see, that's not really what they what they're worried about. They're worried about not that we qualify for our own inheritance that they hold, but we qualify for sovereignty over them, right? In the international law states that already. That's what China was reading to us when this war first started with Iran. China read the laws of the Indigenous Council. I mean the human rights law. It's saying that anybody move into a country where there are already sovereign people there, like America, he was referring to the Edomites moving into America and claiming sovereignty after they had guns and weapons and everything to support their takeover. Coup d'etat. They took over the government and they moved in, and now that we are free, 1865, they cannot dictate their will to us because we are free. Plus, this is our land. Plus, this is our ancestors' property that they left to us. And the Europeans, which are not Europeans, the Edomites, they stepped in and claimed it all, because that's why the story of them bringing us here, that's why that's so effective. That's why they could claim this land with no rebuttal, because the story of us being slaves, and they bringing all us here. And the Israelite camps, they helped them to further that crime against us by saying that the black people were brought over here by these colonizers, and that the Spanish, the Mexicans, which they say came from Taino Indians and Aztecs, they are saying that those people were white, and the indigenous Indians today, they're saying that was Gad, the tribe of Gad, from the tribe of Israel, and they killed deleted all the indigenous brown copper-tone people, and they're saying because we mingled ourselves with them, which I don't know when. How can you give me some proof where we mingled ourselves with them? They mingled themselves with us. That's what Yahweh Shai, which the world called Jesus Christ, that's what he said in Matthew 13:25. He said, while men slept, the enemy came and sowed terror among the wheat and went their way. So that excuse you give us why you say that the indigenous Indians, the indigenous people, and the Native Americans and the Mexicans, why they're our peoples, because they was in the ghetto with us. I put the video online explaining that. They even said themselves that they left a trail of European white people's blood in our nation, and we treated them better than we did our own kids. We treated his seed better than our own kids. Let's finish watching.
reparations conversations would shift from slavery compensation to massive land restoration. The melting pot story would collapse completely. Every treaty, every deed, every legal framework built on stolen land would face challenges. Courts would be flooded with indigenous land claims spanning centuries. American identity itself would need complete reconstruction. One textbook change would rewrite the entire legal foundation of a nation. The truth was always there, just waiting to be taught.
All right.
Where's the white guy who thinks he's a Native American? Listen, you dummy, you're a Siberian squatter who crossed the land bridge when the frost was low. The real Native Americans are black people. You're $5 in and you paid $5 to steal a name. You're a fake, you hockey puck. You got black Americans wearing dashikis now. You look like a Chinese export. Those things are made in Wuhan. You're not from Africa. You've never even been there. You're indigenous to America. Your grandmothers were Moorish empresses.
My friend tried to prove me wrong about the Moors. He said, Red, we came from Africa on a boat. I said, brother, you only believe that because a white man with a clip on tie told you so.
Man, you know John Henson was a Moor, a so-called black man running the show before George Washington. We had 7 black presidents before the white guy took the credit. But keep teaching your kids about the cherry tree and decoy. You actually think George Washington looked like a pale piece of driftwood? Washington was a Moor, you moron. He was as dark as the ace of spades. But you'd rather believe a history book written by some Jesuit who's got you convinced. You know the secret to joining these elite Masons?
We know George Washington was not a Moor. He chopped down the cherry tree, meaning he coup d'etat the Moors and the Indians government that they had set up. That's who signed the peace of the Declaration of Independence. They called us Moroccans. And not only that, they had treaties with us, which is one of them is the Peace and Friendship Treaty, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. That's just like the Constitution. That's just like the rights of indigenous people. It's just like the international human rights, right? It puts us as sovereign and puts them as visitors who we gave privileges to come, and we were nice enough to let you come over here. Now you're trying to claim the birthright citizenship. Let's listen.
Club is getting it in the butt just to humble your ego. I haven't seen that much backside action since I let my brother-in-law follow me through a revolving. Club is getting it in the butt just to humble your ego. But you'd rather believe a history book written by some Jesuit who's got you convinced. You know the secret to joining these elite Mason clubs is getting it in the butt just to humble your ego. I haven't seen that much backside action since I let my brother-in-law follow me through a revolving door.
The Jesuits and the Boule are the reigning champions of the global buck-breaking tournament. They turn heterosexual men into beta cuckolds while they fund their Roman Jesuit rituals with our stolen tax dollars. Yeah, I said it.
I met a Shriner the other day who was real proud of his fez. I told him, buddy, you better read the fine print. That name embroidered on the front isn't yours. It's the name of the Moor who actually owns you. You're just walking trophies for the Moorish Empire, wearing a hat that's basically a leash for a civil...
Y'all actually believe Columbus discovered America? That fellow was lost as a termite in a yo-yo factory. Through the Moors already here, building mosques in Nevada and pyramids in the backyard. This race war shit, it's bullshit. It's a total law polarity mindfuck designed to keep you picking sides. Black versus white, please. Like and unlike are the same goddamn thing at different frequencies, you idiots.
I told my ego it was time for me to realize I'm the master of the universe, but that little security guard in my head is a real prick. I said my subconscious is the lord of the underworld. He said the only thing rising in my spine is the malt liquor from last night.
The black people of my life, my world. And there was a paper genocide
that occurred. And there was the officials in Virginia deliberately expunged the records. They destroyed the official records and most of the private records. I've got a statement that gets into the whole thing, but basically, a lot of Virginia's ruling elite claimed to be blood descendants of Pocahontas, and in their view, that meant that no one else in Virginia could make a claim that they were Native American, a descendant of Pocahontas, because to do so would mean that Virginia's ruling elite would have to be classified as all other non-whites were, which was, in quotes, and this was the law, the inferior Negroid race. This is what it was about. And with enormous hypocrisy, Virginia's ruling elite pushed policies, got them passed, and it culminated with the Racial Integrity Act of 1924.
People have actually written over the records where it was put in that they were Indian, and someone went in and wrote black over it. And you can actually see in censuses from time to time where they may have been Indian in the first 3 censuses, and then the last 6 of their life they're considered black.
We are the original people of this land. We have been reclassified, but we was already living here when the Spanish, when the French, when the British came here. We've been here for thousands and thousands of years, not only in America, but in Canada, in Mexico, Central America, the Caribbeans. These people took over our lands, not only in America, but Papua New Guinea, Africa, Australia, the Pacific Islands, are the original home of people that look like us.
There was a paper.
The black-skinned people here, those who are ancestral here, that were thousands of years have been here, or young people, or women who don't want to see their children die of any color of their skin. The black-skinned people here, those who are ancestral here, that were thousands of years have been here, or young people, or women who don't want to see their children die of any color of their skin. The black-skinned people here.
Before colonizers and white settlers came here, Memphis was home to black indigenous tribes, such as the Chickasaw tribe.
Did you guys hear?
Before colonizers and white settlers came here, Memphis was home to black indigenous tribes, such as the Chickasaw tribes, that were thriving back in those times. Back during the 1818 treaty, this is when the United States government did a deal with quote-unquote our indigenous people to extract their land. We know it didn't go how they said. They actually came here, pillaged, killed, and destroyed, and basically our people were prisoners of war, and their land was taken due to theft.
Now, I wanted to show y'all this brief intermission, and we'll get back into my video. So I went on the Library of Congress. I always go on the Library of Congress, some of the governmental sites, to dig in those archives to find all type of stuff. So I found this letter that was written by Andrew Jackson. And what I did was I ran it through AI because, of course, y'all, I could not understand this cursive. Some of it I could, some of it I couldn't, but I ran it through AI. These people took over 5.1 million acres from black indigenous people. That was the western part of Tennessee. Western Tennessee, they took over 5.1 million acres from indigenous people.
Let's go ahead and get into it. Bill Avenue was actually founded by this guy right here. His name is Robertson Topps. He was from Virginia. He was quote-unquote a white elitist or white colonizers that came here to Memphis back in the 1840s when Memphis was supposed to be booming for its commerce and cotton exchange and also access to the river. Bill Avenue was actually developed and came from him. They said that he was naming it out the military friend or Mexican friend or something that was a part of the military. military. Now, back when Robertson Tops actually developed and came up with Beale Avenue in that area, he wanted to make that area a heart of Memphis, Tennessee that can connect directly to the Mississippi River. Now, y'all, when Robertson Tops Avenue, it was actually developed as a white suburbs or a white area for white elitists that had a little money, that had prestige, money, and wealth. As y'all can see, he was developing him a mansion on Beale Avenue. The development of Beale Avenue was supposed to be this highly fashionable, wealthy, elitist, white neighborhood with the wealthy white families that wanted what Memphis had, as they still do today. So just think of Beale Avenue being developed by Robertson Tops as this white, suburban, elitist, wealthy neighborhood. So, like I was saying, the Chickasaw Land Treaty basically stripped black indigenous people of that land that Beale Avenue and Beale Street sits on today. After that, what happened? Memphis was carved up by white men who, quote-unquote, founded Memphis and tried to build their elite prestige status here in the city of Memphis on stolen land. They basically saw white economic opportunity for the white upper class in Memphis. Before colonizers and white settlers came here, Memphis was home to black indigenous tribes, such as the Chickasaw tribes, that were thriving back in those times. Back during the 1818 treaty, this is when the United
Many of the brown people here in the United States, in the Americas, they were the indigenous here, where I know a lot of your lies of mass destruction in your schools have told you otherwise. Many of these so-called African Americans, which they've reclassified brown African Americans, because if you notice that the only group in the Americas that they reclassify because they're taking them further away from their indigenous roots so that they were able to take over the land patents. Big up to Janae.
Okay, that's a very important part right there. Every time they tweaked our identity, called us a different byword, they were putting us back to sleep and also taking us farther and farther away from our racism. Is designed to take us away from our true identity. Everything they do and say now, the 14th Amendment, it was designed to make all of us think they brought us over here from Africa, which means that we don't have sovereign rights to this land. Us being the indigenous Israelites give us sovereignty to this land and to the leaders and the highest nation on the earth. God created us, and he chose us. He in his mind, he elevated us above all the nations and gave us the blessings of the whole earth. So that's important to know, that everything they do now is to move us away, but it's not working.
Janae, who speaks about this, it's a fact. I had studied this in CCNY. Many of our young people have taken over and gone rogue with this information. It's a fact. That's why that's information that's hidden. Many of the brown people were called Negroes, which was considered to be a smokescreen for being indigenous. Many of the tribes that were existing here in the Americas aren't even acknowledged, or obviously, they were gentrified and reclassified. And also, many of the so-called colonists make sure they infuse themselves with paying the $5 and taking over these tribes. Many of the brown people here in the United States.
Native American to indigenous, because there's a reason they changed it from Native American to indigenous, because Native implies that you're Aboriginal and you're not. Indigenous just means you were there before colonialism. That much is true. Well, modern day colonialism. But what we're discovering from many people with receipts is that y'all were categorized as Native Americans. Black people were reclassified from Native Americans because they're the real natives and changed to African American. When there is historical documents, there's birth certificates, there's literal migration papers, proof that people are coming up with in the comments on these videos that you make these stupid comments on, proving that they were there before y'all. Not all black people come from Africa, but all races do come from black. Please refute and address the documents that they are putting literally in my comments. Y'all don't want to do that. Instead, you want to come here and make me look stupid because you're racist. That's also why you can't admit that you came from Asians, because y'all hate us. Join the club, baby. We're still strong. We still exist.
No, they didn't come from Asians. I'm going to flip that right now. They didn't come from Asians. Asians came from white people. Look at the tan in your skin. You are a made people. The original Asians and the original Chinese and Japanese, they are Moab, Lot's children by his daughter. Both of his daughters, after Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, they thought the world had come to an end, and so they got their father drunk, so they could reproduce the earth, repopulate the earth, because it was just him and his two daughters. So they got him drunk in a cave where they had took up shelter, and they got him drunk, and both of them went in and got pregnant by him. That's why that mongoloid syndrome is on you. Now, you got those slanted eyes from your original forefathers, but mongoloid disease continue with you guys, and not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, is because Papa Son, your papa, he broke you in before your marriage. He broke you in before he sold you, right? How do we know that? Is because when the veterans went to Okinawa and went over to be with the Asians, be it, assist them in war, Okinawa, Vietnam, South Korea, Taiwan, we went to all those places. Papa San would rent you to us. Not me. I didn't go. I had a lot of Vietnam Army veterans that told me about it. For so much every 30 days, or however you want to pay, every 6 months. And a lot of the Oriental women would fall in love with the GI and have his baby. And he left the baby there with them. Because why? They already had black ancestors. Let's keep watching.
This superpower for a fucking reason.
I knew the injection would kill me. My score said so, and I still took it.
Indians that look like the Indians that come from India. They told us we was black and that the real natives of this land was the Indians that look like the Indians that come from India. But if y'all would ever go to Mississippi, the place that they try to hide the most, you'll see black people that actually look like Indians with long flowing hair, just like the people from India, but they're black. They have a lot of melanin in their skin. They're dark skinned. As a matter of fact, most of my cousins are Indians. They are real.
Okay, that's the family I come from. That's who my father's family is. The Choctaw people, right?
Indians, Choctaw Indians.
Right. Louisiana, Mississippi. Some of those people, they are French. Those are French people that you see down there. They call them Geechees, right? They're not East Indians. They are French and Spaniards mixed together down in Mississippi, like that. French and Spaniards mixed together. They teamed up and conquered the coastal states, right? That's what you're looking at, right? Okay.
But they told us no, and if you say this to somebody, this is just how brainwashed that they have people believing that you're black, like they just made this up.
Now, I want to say one more thing about my family, the Choctaw. We have pictures of my grandma on my father's side and my grandma, my father's mother's mother and my father's father's mother both have on their Indian Chickasaw fringes, buckskin dresses, and to let you know, we know who we are. We've been knowing who we are. We have those pictures in our houses and stuff.
If you even say this to them that, hey, no, I'm actually a Choctaw Indian, that they will debate with you and they even start to tell you how you're nothing but a slave. And I'm talking about some of my own people have done this. And even want to go as far as to say that, oh, well, you need to take a test to prove this. Like, come on now, be for real. They tricked you. They didn't want to give you any resources to this land, so they lied to you and they made you feel like.
I like what she just said. That's it right there. They wanted to steal your resources, so they had to steal your identity. It's simple as that. Israelite camps, it's as simple as that. They did not bring all these black people over here. 60% of the Caribbean is black. I'm talking like 200 million people. Where in the hell did all those people come from if you could barely get a boatload over here to North America? The reason why they was so easy to get them down there is because they brought them from North America.
You were black. You're not indigenous to this land. You weren't here first. There were people here before you, but how could that be? What if they actually, what if we are the Indians that they were talking about? We were already here and they came over with their boats and they took people from here and they spread them out all over the world. What if they did that? You're not going to tell me that they took everybody from Africa and everybody that looks like me with melanin in their skin, that they brought them on a boat from Africa. Yeah, right. Come on now.
I did not just say that. Did not. She's smart, man. She is smart. She's smarter than the Israelite camps, man. Than those guys teaching that the Mexicans and the Latinos and the Native American Indians are our people too, because they was left in the ghetto with us.
Start with the fairy tale. Maybe they brought some people over here, but I'm telling you, some people were already here. As a matter of fact, a lot of people were already here. But every time they show Mississippi has been a slave state, nothing but slaves, and you know.
That's how they steal the land, by moving your mind away from researching who you really are, you know. But nothing they can do now. One good thing the Israelite camps did, you saw Red Fox and all those other people were saying out loud who we were. Why? Because they knew we would never say it, because we had no power to take our sovereignty back. That's why they were open with it. Why are they covering it up now? Because we do have power now. We're not in slavery. We're the Most High is fighting for us. He's waking us up. He's restoring our knowledge. And the only way we can gather up is we have to come together in the mind first and claim our inheritance. You know, we got guns. And if the Most High is fighting for us, just like they ran out of missiles, you know, they might bomb they might get rid of a few of the 2/3, but they're not going to be able to touch the sealed people of God. And he did say he would get his revenge. He gonna make y'all put some respect on his name by the hands of his people Israel, which would be the northern kingdom, because Judah did their job. And that might be why they were brought over here, because there's still a lot of us in Africa still. I'm talking about Israelites. Judah did their job when they came out and read that Bible and taught and told us who we were. That's bending the bow. The northern kingdom was shot out to resist and combat and to stand and against this paperwork that they put out. That's how they genocide us, with paperwork, and brainwash our children and brainwash us. We are the children that they brainwashed. That's why we brainwashed. And the only way we have to rebuttal their claim as one voice with the 70 million of us that's here or more. They are not. How can they be the minority? I mean the majority, when they are going extinct.
A certain look of people, but if I can only just show you pictures of my cousins and what they look like, you'll see how these people lied. They straight lied to us, okay? They told us we was black.
Go back.
They manipulated everything through education. Black people are the natives to America. That's also why American black people don't look like Africans. They look different. Look at every country in the Caribbean. It's all black people. That's because they're from here. One of the
and that's what I wanted to say with the last video, is that we don't even look Africans. Everybody look like their tribe. Simeon look like Simeons, which is the Dominican Republicans. They all look alike. Jamaicans, they all look alike. That's like their father and mother. The bloodline from the father. Hades, they all look alike. The Mexicans, they have a distinct look. The black ones I'm talking about. They have a distinct look to African Americans. You can look them up online. You'll see they all look like they came from one father. Now here in North America, we are so mixed up with the other tribes. We are so mixed up with the other tribes that we don't all look like our fathers. You'll see some resemblance of we all look like each other, and we are all not Gad. We are all not the Jews. We're not all from Judah. We are all not from Issachar. We're all not Seminole Indians, right? We look mixed up here. You know, you won't know from what Israelite brother you're from if you're here in North America. But down in the Caribbeans, where they took the Indian tribes down there, they took the natives down there. They took them from their tribe and took them down there, and that's who they had to mate. That's who they had to create offspring with. The blacks that was taken down there from the one family tribe. And that's why they all look alike. They set them on an island. They kept them together, and they kept breeding with that one people. All praises.
Biggest questions I always had is if there were natives here, then why are there almost no full-blooded Native Americans anywhere? It's because they're black people. And when black folks eat really good.
So yeah, and he's got a point there, because the Native American peoples is in the name. Native American peoples, and native, you can throw that away. American peoples, they came over here under the visa, under the permission of the Edomites. They had a right to bring so many people over here, and be under their guidelines, be under their jurisdiction, their rulership. And the Orientals and the Spanish and the East Indians and the Africans, they mixed up with each other, and the non-melanated $5 Indians or whoever, those are different. You can look at a Mexican. Sometimes you can't tell a Mexican from an Oriental, American Oriental, or American. They say American Mexican because he's got Spanish, he's got British in him, he's got Oriental in him, and that's what he's talking about. How come they don't all look alike, and you can't tell who they are?
And get a lot of
confusion of faces, right?
Son, their skin turns bronze or red because they're redskins. They manipulated everything through education. They manipulated everything through education. Black people are the natives to America. That's also why American black people don't look like Africans. They look different. Look at every country in the Caribbean. It's all black people. That's because they're from here. One of the biggest questions I always had is if there were natives here, then why are there almost no full-blooded Native Americans anywhere? It's because they're black people. And when black folks eat really good and get a lot of sun, their skin turns bronze or red because they're redskins. They manipulated everything through education.
Y'all want to know something that nobody's ready for in 2025 except for those who already seem to fucking know it? Black people are the aboriginals of every continent. Dark-skinned people are the aboriginals of every continent. Native Americans migrated over the ice bridge from Siberia. That would be it.
No, they did not. And I like the first part, what she said. And but the Native Americans did not come across the Siberian, the ice bridge. No, they were created when they got here. That's what that's what the 5 civilized tribes is about. The white Indians. There were no white people here when the Columbus and the colonizers got here. They brought them here. And for 300 years, they used them for indentured servants. And then when they got the power and the heart to do it, and enough people, then they coup d'etat the government. They overthrew the Moorish indigenous people's government.
Asia and became what we now know as Native
I'm not an African American.
Y'all want to know something that nobody's...
I'm not an African American because that started with Jesse in 87 when he was running for office for 88. And a lot of people didn't agree with it then. People said that's not going to fly. I haven't found an African American yet on the birth certificates in our family. And they tricked the politicians and the black leaders to make it look like we don't exist.
They didn't trick them, they paid them. These are the house Negroes from the past. These are the dirty Moors. These are the dirty Israelites. Right? They said we're not going to keep on code with God's laws and God's people. We are traitors. These are the traitors you're talking about.
And that's what Dr. King had found out. Dr. King say the Negro people find themselves in exile in their own land. He did not say they brought them from Africa and put them here. He said the Negro people in their own land. Right there is one reason I think today Dr. King is dead. I'm saying this to you as a civil rights leader to a civil rights leader. Dr. King was getting ready to embark, I think, upon some stuff that they wasn't ready for. Both of the truth was coming out. But now the truth's out with internet. The kids pulling up the pictures from the archives. They can't stop it now. It's out. I'm not an African American because that started.
I'm still a virgin. Just by my first night. I have no...
They say it took 7 tribes to defeat us. 7 tribes. You know what else there's 7 of? Continents. That means the entire world was against the melanated people of the Americas. And we still here. This tribe that you're talking about here was one of the biggest.
Psalms 83. We go read Psalms 83. What she just said, the entire world came together to cut us off from being a nation, and they're still doing it. But like the last video, it's impossible to keep the lie going because our young people who they wanted to keep brainwashed. That's how they can keep slaves, keep ignorant minorities working for them, is that we don't really know who we are. But not only do we know who we are, we're proud of who we are, and we're happy to know our true identity, and you're not going to take that away from us again. All praises to the Most High.
Participants of the Destiny Swap of the people of the Americas and the rest of the world. They cosplayed us. They enslaved us. They fought for our demise every step of the way. When we were begging, praying not to get hung from trees, they were fighting against us. And y'all get on my comments and literally be like, we can't go against the Native Americans. We gotta align. For what? They don't align with us. The whole world be against us and y'all be trying to show them grace. Y'all be trying to give them grace. Fuck them. They will atone for their sins.
Native Americans are really getting deported right now.
They're slowly being pushed away from the table.
Wow.
I got the nerve to call us wabos. I can't hide no more. Y'all took on someone else's identity. Tried to claim something you know nothing about. Now the chickens are coming home to roost. I've been trying to tell everybody. Now we get to see who the real wabo is. Everybody know that y'all showed up on the scene dead ass last. Trying to use the corporation to get benefits. The benefits that was really supposed to be given to the indigenous people. Like y'all moved in, y'all get to move right back.
There's one thing we need to know is they didn't just show up. They were invited in to take our place. And like they are invited in, Joe Biden invited all of them in. Obama invited them in. Obama's African, but he had his wealth for his family and his daughters, you know. So every man's for themselves. So they paid him to steal our idea, help tweak the tweak to help keep the new slaves, the new indigenous people, the newly borns, help them to stay up under that birth certificate theft, that birth certificate slavery.
Time to send everybody home that's not indigenous to this land. Yeah, I remember they called us pretendian too. The nerve to call us pretendian. Yeah. But Trump showing y'all who the real pretendians is. Get mad at us. Get mad at him.
Your bottom lip up and have the day you deserve. Wado.
The indigenous people to America, according to the scholars of America's Indian antiquity, Leo Weiner and Barry Fell and Sertima of more recent, was the black people themselves. So when we think of the Native Americans we see today, and many of them we see, and we'll get to that $5 Indian that you like so much, but even the Native American that we think look like the Native American, the original Native American didn't even look like them. The original Native American were black people. The Indian don't resent that word Indian. Many of them resent the word Native American. They don't even want the word America attached to them because they were nation. And a lot of them prefer the term indigenous. You really cannot discuss the history of the Native American without discussing the history of black America. Their relationship was so entwined in the shaping of those two cultures and in the undermining of those two cultures here in the United States of America. As we know, the term African American.
He's a little confused. He's still trying to identify us. This is just like those people that's trying to join the white indigenous. They're trying to join their their nation. They're filing a petition that they will let the North Carolina black Indians be considered a part of the white Indians nations, the people who they've given their sovereignty back, right? And so they are confused because we are sovereign and we are the law. We are the rulers of this land, and everybody has to come to us and ask us for permission. That's the way it's going to be in the end time when we go into Christ's kingdom. But right here in this kingdom, all praises to the Most High, they are going to put some respect on us, on our name, and not as the indigenous people of this land, but as the sons of the living God. Don't make no difference about who the indigenous people are now. Only thing we're using this for is so we can gather together and know what happened, know the truth, because the truth will set you free. Not only that, the truth will gather you up together under one banner. And that's what the Most High told us to do, and that's to protect us from these demons and the rest of these nations. And we see who they are, the ones that's coming over here and trying to belittle and down and spit at us for it's our country. The Edomites, the white people, bring them over here. United States or America, either one. They bring them over here to be a part of their corporation because they can't be government. They can't be government. This can't be their land because they stole the identity to get their inheritance. So they brought them over here and they taught them what you got to do to stay over here is spit in the face of they call us black people of this land. And that's what they've all done. And that's what they're regretting that they did it now, because they see now that they are lower than we are in the eyes of the Americans, and by that 14th Amendment, they say, well, that's for the slaves. No, that's for we're no part of your government. We don't need your 14th Amendment. We don't need nothing. We don't need your corporate laws, your UCC codes. We're not a part of your corporation. We don't work for you. We're not your employees. You are on borrowed time in this land. That's why the Most High is going to get you out, because the Gentile times is up. This is Esau trouble, and this is Jacob's trouble. All you Jacobites who wants to hold on and help secure Babylon from falling. You want to help stabilize Babylon. You don't want it to fall because you don't want to be Israelites. You don't want to be Israelites. You'll be anything else but that. But if you don't come back to your Israelite nationality and repent and swear your allegiance back to your God, your King, and your laws and your nation, then you will fall with Babylon.
It's a family term that was brought about. We're not African nor are we American. We are the original people of the earth. We are the indigenous people of the earth. We are far older than the word Africa.
When most people hear Native American, they imagine red skin and feathers. When they hear Black American, they think Africa and slavery. The reality is that Native Black American Indians have always been part of this land. Early European maps and journals described Black Indians up and down the Atlantic coast, tribes with dark skin, curly or woolly hair, living in organized nations before Europeans ever set foot here. In fact, many southeastern tribes, the Yamasee, Washita, Catawba, and even branches of the Cherokee, were described as black. Some even fought against colonists in the 1500s and 1600s, long before slavery became the main narrative. One erased truth is land ownership. Native Black American Indians held territory across the South, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi. The Washita Nation, recognized in old French and Spanish treaties, were Black indigenous people who lived along the Mississippi River Valley. They farmed, fished, built towns, and traded with Africa and the Caribbean before colonization.
What did you just say? I said, marry my grandson.
They're rushing to the top. A lot of these people who are descendants of immigrants or who may be of immigrants to the Black American community, y'all better start claiming yourselves as what y'all are, because a lot of these politicians, especially a part of the Blue Party, they're the top. A lot of these people who are descendants of immigrants or who may be of immigrant or who are immigrants, they all keep trying to get jobs in government because it's a wealth transfer and it's a destiny swap. This has been in the making and in the plan for 200 or 300 years now. And I'm gonna let y'all know this now. Honestly, it seems like this administration is trying to slow it down because you're not supposed to do that. I don't know if y'all know, but if you do research on this shit, that's why they cannot deport Black Americans. You can't deport them because they're not from over there. They're from where they ass is standing at. They had to.
So, okay, say they wanted to start deporting Black Americans. Where could they send them? They have no allies. They can't send them to Africa. They're not going to accept them. Us. They're not going to be able to send them down in the Caribbeans. They're not going to send them to China or Russia. They know who we are. They're just going to use us. They want us to stay here because they know the prophecy. They know that the Most High is going to use us to break away from their jurisdiction. It's going to happen. They're going to be so happy to release us, just like Pharaoh was happy to let us go from Egypt. When the Most High get through with them with these storms and all this, everything is happening to them. All the plagues, houses burning down and leaving the trees and the grass unscorched. You know what I'm talking about. So all praises to the Most High. Let's listen to her. This will be it.
A lie to sell you the lie to get what they want and to be able to take over and not pay y'all. The reality is they owe y'all. That's why they won't give y'all reparations, because they don't owe you from bringing you from Africa. They owe you for something way deeper than.
I like that. I love that. Now our camps can't even understand this. Man, I know the camps are agents. I know those guys are agents, and their payoff is those YouTube video money. Because if this young woman can figure that out, and all these people, I've shown you proof. I'm going to end it, but I showed you proof that it's not hard to figure out. And the camps, with all their scriptures that they know, they can't figure out why these people keep pushing that they brought us here. And they'll say it sometime, well, they stole our identity. Well, if they stole your identity, it was for a reason. It wasn't because Esau didn't get the blessing from Jacob got. It's because they were stealing with the sword. Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. They were stealing your heritage. And why would they bring Africans over here to when they had to move the black Indians, the black Israelites off this land to take the land? Let's keep watching.
This shit that y'all talking about. And that's why, and you realize ever since black Americans started claiming that they're indigenous, all these other immigrant descents or immigrant people keep saying that they're indigenous to America. That's why they all talking about reparations. Nobody was talking about reparations until black Americans started.
Well, it ain't gonna be reparations, but I guarantee you, when the Most High get through punishing that northern kingdom down in the Caribbean, when he get through punishing them, then they'll gather together down there too, because truly they are from the north. They are from North America. That 200 million black and brown and light-skinned people that claim they were taken down there on slave ships just from Africa, they weren't. But that's what their parents told them. They were brought to the Caribbean on slave ships. They have the story. They never gave up that story. They never said they brought them from Africa. They were given an illustration on how they transported them on ships. That was the into Egypt again with ships. The Indians were not in Egypt until they claimed the whole northern side of the hemisphere, so the fourth part of the earth. Until they claimed North America and all this side over here, those northern kingdom people had not been in slavery on ships. You know, everybody didn't go in slavery on ships, but from every tribe, somebody had to go into slavery on ships, and so that's what happened. They moved that northern kingdom down there. That's why I tell you the 12 tribe chart is not wrong. It's the way they're explaining it, including all the heathens, is what makes it wrong. So yeah, man, she got it, man. She probably been watching my videos, and Damon and Dane Calloway and Cooley Mayo and a couple of other ones that kind of got it now.
Asking for reparations for what they've been dealing with, even recently. So, first of all, America don't owe them nothing. No. Their trauma is not from America. Wherever it comes from, it is not from America. America don't owe them nothing. And the reason why a lot of them are trying to get into government, because they're trying to pass laws for their people. They've been doing this. Why you think all this funding for specific programs of people of this descent or Latin descent and all that shit? It's because that's what they've been doing. And I'm going to tell y'all something.
That's right.
It is not just people in the Western world. It's people from India. It's people from all these other countries that come here, and I don't know why do y'all be allowing them to rule the government. I don't even know why white America allowed them.
They can rule white Americans' government because we're supposed to establish and set up our own government. I like what she's saying. She's putting the pieces together slowly, and she need help. She needs to do some more research. But basically what she's saying is making talking points, because why are we letting anybody rule in government over here? It's not white American letting. The white American can let anybody they want be a part of their CEO. They can do whatever they want with their government. We have nothing to do with that. We have to establish our own selves as the sovereign people of the land, and all we have to do is to come together and say the same thing. Like this video I'm putting together. We have to say the same thing. This is not your land, and if it is, prove it. Prove you brought us over here on slave ships, all the black people in the Caribbean and all down through here. Because what I hear what I hear you claiming is that you only brought 12 million over here. The other ones died. The other people you tried to get over here died in the sea. So you can't claim all of these people you brought here.
To rule the government. They should not be ruling y'all government. This is why it's hard.
Oh, I should have kept listening to her. She said y'all's government. Okay. They can rule they can let who rule. Whoever helps them play the charade game to fool us, that's who they'll use.
Y'all to control y'all shit now. I better start teaching y'all kids their true history, where they from, and to tell.
She's saying that they are our government. I got it again. I had to recalibrate again. She's saying that the government here is our government. No, it's not our government, although they claim to. That's why we can go, and when we come together, we can take over those office spaces and everything they have their hand on concerning us. We can take over the waterways and everything and put them in one area that, we don't have to, they don't have nowhere to go either. And a lot of them was tricked just like we were tricked. A lot of the white children and all of that. Only thing we have to do is take our sovereignty back, and they will fall in place, all of the nations. They'll get the hell out of here and bring those people from the Caribbeans back up here. And they can help us establish and get control of this government, this coup d'etat, these frauds, these tyrants. Bring them up here. Open the border. We got to go down and conquer that border, and we got to put everybody. And see, that's where we're gonna run into problem at with the Israelite camps. That's where you're gonna run into problem with. You try to bring all those Spanish and Latinos and Native American people in as aliens. They gonna come on in. They'll come in, but they'll unlock the door to white supremacy and let them back in charge as soon as they can. Right?
Stop calling yourself black, you black American. Because everybody keep trying to classify as black to destiny swap. When they first started migrating into America hundreds of years ago, most of these immigrants, they signed their names on the census as indigenous and of whatever we was classifying at the time. When they first started migrating into America, whatever the indigenous people were classifying as at the time, they was putting that shit on census records, literally. So that way they can obtain benefits from the government and the system, and like they're entitled to the system. It was a destiny swap from the beginning. Why you think you have some people who are immigrants saying that they indigenous to America? It's because they think that they're indigenous to America because some of their parents or grandparents have lied on papers to get into America and to get what they want from America. Because back in those times, everybody was melanated. Everybody was dark. So it was easy to kind of lie on papers. And they're doing that same trick to this day. Because they black, they think that, oh, America owe me something too. Like, I just seen a black American woman from Chicago snapping on the city officials because they're trying to sign some bill or pass some law or create some funding for African people. And they keep passing all of the black Americans. Y'all don't find that suspicious? They pass all of y'all. They pass all the black Americans and go straight to their people. I don't know why would y'all think people from another country or who parents or grandparents are from another country will come here and rule y'all government and take care of y'all or do right by y'all. I don't know why America thought that, but no, the reality is the reason why a lot of crazy shit ain't pop off is because they know that their community is in America. But other than that, they don't give a damn about no Americans, whether you white or black. They don't give a damn. And the reality is for the black Americans who out here like going in on black people or black Americans for not getting involved, you are a fucking duck. You clearly don't know shit. And I'm gonna be honest, we all been there, but I feel like now that everybody on the internet knows, you really have no excuse for being ignorant, truth be told. Also, into the black American community, for everything that y'all created that's black culture, you better fix that name. You better fix that shit. You better fix it because they're already claiming that no, it's not. It's all black people culture. Florida culture is just Florida culture. It's not black American culture. And the reality is when you look at these people and where they come from, the shit that's going on, for an example, in Florida, the culture that's built in Florida, you don't see that shit going on in their country because it's not their shit. It's a black American thing that black Americans from Florida does. Not only that, it's going down in New York, damn Texas, damn Cali, what else? All of this, y'all need to y'all don't understand. Most of black Americans' culture is very deep. And if you know anything about ethnic groups, they don't share their culture with other people. They don't share their identity with other people. Y'all have to set the record straight and stop calling it black culture. Call it black American culture, black American Southern culture. Put a name.
No, that's wrong. You can take that black all the way off of it because black means without a nation. You do not have a nation if you don't call yourself after your ancestors. You can't be a nation. You're saying the same thing they're saying. Oh, we was always here. No, you had ancestors. Your ancestors had biblical names. They had ancient names, an ancient bloodline. That's what you have to do. You have to go back to your ancestors' identity because that's who you are. You are your ancestors. You understand? You are your ancestors. So when you take that back up, then they know you are no longer feeble-minded and you understand the world. You understand the world. And you understand that you have to deal with other nations as nations. And bloodline, that's how you get your inheritance, is through your bloodline. So how do we get our inheritance over here? Because the 10 tribes came over here 2,500 years ago and established property over here. Cities, pyramids, waterways, hunting grounds. They established everything over here, and the Most High God sent them here to establish this for the last days. Let's keep listening.
Name on it because they're stealing y'all shit, putting their name on it, and saying, "Oh no, this is mine too." To the young black population, if your grandparents are Black American, if your grandmama told you I'm Native American with a little bit of Indian, this is you, baby. You're Black American, or whatever you want to call it, American Indian. At the end of the day, it's all y'all culture. Claim your shit. Stop allowing other people to come in and claim y'all shit, because this is exactly why y'all create every single thing in America and they got no fucking nothing to show for it. They take y'all shit, monetize off of it. Everybody get rich off y'all. They using y'all as a quick get money scheme or get rich scheme. Everybody using Black Americans for that.
Now, you identify with your group. Her age group, the people in her age group, she's registering to them right now. And she's teaching a lot of people out of her age group. This resonate through all age groups in our race. What she's saying is information for you to meditate and grow on and decide in your mind that you're going to come back to your true bloodline identity, and you claim it all the way back to all your ancestors. You don't just say, we was always here, we FBA, we was here. No, you got to go farther than that. I know y'all don't like the Bible and all of that, and you don't want to have to answer to God for your sins. Well, sooner or later, you're going to be glad to be an Israelite, because we're going to be the only ones protected by God. The people who recognize who they are and they have life, the life has come back to those dry bones. And the only way you're going to get life is to recognize your covenant with God, with your creator. So listen to her, and then I'm just going to sign off.
Everybody is like, half of the shit that we do, they don't even understand. It's spiritual. But they taking it and claiming it as theirs. This is because y'all are too friendly. You don't see them getting up here sharing their culture. When their holidays come, it's about them. And that's the way Black American holidays are supposed to be. Juneteenth. Black History Month.
No, not Juneteenth. Feast of Tabernacle. Passover. What's that other feast that's in the Apocrypha? The Feast of Dedication. Feast of Tabernacle. Yeah, and I can't name them all, but those are our holidays. The Sabbath. The Sabbath is a day of rest. Nobody rests anymore. You don't rest on Sunday and you don't rest on Saturday, and you work all the rest of the days. So, those are holidays.
Those are y'all months and days that y'all supposed to be celebrating Black American culture. They have rolled themselves into America, and they got their way into government all for the purpose of doing this, because everybody know that Black Americans bringing the most wealth to America. Y'all have a 1.8.
Okay, all of that's fine, but we're gonna end it right there because all of that stuff she's naming is vanity and is about to be burnt up in 1 hour. But we're gonna go into, just to give it a quick hint, a quick note. They are falling. A lot of y'all that think like her, maybe she'll change when the destruction of these nations start happening. They're gonna start nuking and Armageddon, and they're gonna start deleting each other. And maybe our people, because they're gonna cut our resources off, we're gonna have to go back to living off the land. And so maybe our people, the rest like her, maybe some of them will wake up, but 2/3 will not make it. 2/3 are going to eat a nuke when we are being caught up and brought to safety in the sky, given our new bodies, Habakkuk, Nehemiah. We're going to get those supernatural bodies like Christ had. We're going to be able to defy gravity. We can walk through walls, move telepathically. Just think of a place and boom, you there. Okay? Strength like the Hulk, Black Adam. We're gonna have the superpowers like Black Adam, right? And Luke Cage. Trust me, it's happening. It's happening right now. We have superpowers right now, that we don't even know. Because we can speak into existence those things that are not. We can call them into existence. So,
$1 trillion spending power, and then on top of that, it's I believe expected to grow to 4.8 trillion in the next coming years. The beauty industry, everything that y'all created, the music industry that y'all created, everything. Everybody come here and they monetize off of y'all motherfuckers. They use y'all.
Okay, so we're saying all of that age is over. We're not here to monetize anymore. We're not here to build wealth and empires, and all the people who got wealth and empires in this kingdom, they're going to be probably going to be put to death. All our entertainers that turned their back and betrayed the Israelites, betrayed their nationality and broke their allegiance and dishonored the ancestors, they're going to be put to death. So all praises to the Most High. I hope this helped. And I gathered all these videos together to show you how the world is, how our people are progressing to become those one people, children of God. How, what the Most High is awakening them up and giving them an understanding that we can come together because we are the chosen nation.